The Roman Empire was one of the largest empires ever. It lasted for over 1,000 years and shaped the world around it. Like any civilization, the Roman people needed a bit of entertainment. One such example was gladiators. Gladiators were usually slaves or conquered enemies who were forced to fight in amphitheaters in front of massive crowds for entertainment. So it comes as no surprise that sometimes they got a bit fed up and fought back. The most famous example of this is Spartacus, but who was he and what did he do? He was born in 103 BC in Thracia, modern-day Bulgaria. Not much is known about his life before his rebellion, but most historians agree that he was probably a Roman soldier before he deserted the army, was enslaved and forced into gladiator school in Capua, southern Italy. A gladiator school was called a ludus. In these schools, gladiators were taught the basics of hand-to-hand combat and sorted into different classes based on their individual attributes. Due to his size and power, Spartacus was trained as a myrmilla. These were the heavyweights of the gladiator world, equipped with big rectangular shields and a standard issue, gladius, which was an 18 inches long straight sword used by the majority of the Roman infantry soldiers. It was 73 BC, whilst training at this school, that Spartacus and around 70 other gladiators escaped. Armed with kitchen utensils, they overpowered the guards, stole some carts full of armor and weapons, and began to plunder the surrounding areas. Whilst they plundered, they freed all the slaves that they could find and recruited them into their rebellion before fortifying themselves on Mount Vesuvius. Once they were fortified, the new formed rebellion elected Spartacus and Crixus as their two leaders. This rebellion was extremely well timed, as almost all of Rome's army was in Hispania, modern-day Spain, dealing with revolts and uprisings. Another benefit for Spartacus and his rebels was that the Roman Senate initially underestimated him. To deal with Spartacus, the Senate sent a small militia of men to attack Vesuvius. In a stroke of tactical genius, Spartacus's men wove strong ropes from local vines and rappelled themselves down the mountain and landed behind the militia. Attacking from behind, they slaughtered nearly all of the Roman soldiers and sent the rest running. The Senate sent another small militia to attack Spartacus, but again, they were defeated. Following the success of his first two battles, Spartacus's numbers grew, and by the winter of 73 BC, his rebellion was 70,000 men strong. Spartacus spent the winter of 73 training and arming his newfound rebels and preparing them for battle. In the spring of 72 BC, the Roman Senate sent 2 legions of soldiers to crush the rebellion. By this time, though, Spartacus had split his army in two, with Crixus leading one force of 30,000 men and himself leading the rest. The 2 Roman legions faced Crixus in battle and soundly defeated him, but before they could celebrate, Spartacus attacked back, crushing the 2 legions and sent them back to Rome with their tail in between their legs. It was at this point that the Roman Senate began to take Spartacus seriously. They recruited the wealthiest man in all of Rome to defeat him, Marcus Licinius Crassus. He was given charge of 40,000 men and ordered to crush the rebellion. By all historical accounts, Crassus was a ruthless leader. One of the first things that he did with his new army was to put every 10th man to death. This was to strike fear into the hearts of his soldiers and scare them into submission. Crassus was hugely successful, winning big victories over Spartacus and forcing him back down south. Near the end of 71 BC, Spartacus found himself surrounded by Crassus near the Strait of Messina, which is right at the end of Italy near Sicily. Surrounded and pushed back against the sea, Spartacus attempted to bribe some pirates to take him and 2,000 of his men to Sicily, but he was betrayed, and with his ego bruised and wallet a lot lighter, he decided he only had one plan of attack. He ordered his men to charge through Crassus's fortifications and make a run for it. With Crassus in hot pursuit and his men tiring, Spartacus ordered his men to stop, turn and ready for their final stand. On the banks of the Sile River, 50,000 rebels faced off against 40,000 Roman legionnaires on an open battlefield. Spartacus ordered his men to charge. Colliding with a wall of shields and swords, the rebels fought hard and took down many Roman soldiers. But it was not enough. They fought desperately for a long time, but were eventually cut down in droves, with many fleeing to the mountains. Accounts on the matter vary, but some sources say that Spartacus was killed whilst making one last charge towards Crassus. The rebellion was over, and as a sign to any future want-to-be rebels, Crassus ordered that 6,000 of Spartacus's men were to be crucified. Spartacus was a brave man who fought for his and his men's freedom, but what was his end goal? Well, no one actually knows for sure, but some leading theories are that he was attempting to reach northern Italy so that his men could cross the Alps and be free, whilst other historians argue that he planned to march on Rome and overthrow the Senate. No matter what his end goal was, Spartacus has gone down in history as the slave who for a brief moment put Rome on their back foot. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more interesting tales from history.